So you don't want to lecture your teenager, but you don't want to be passive either. How do you motivate your teenager? Well, we're going to talk about that today on Tips on Teens. My name is Kent Toussaint. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I specialize in helping kids, teens, and families live happier lives. I lead two organizations, the Private Practice Teen Therapy Center and the nonprofit 501c3 organization Child and Teen Counseling, both here in Woodland Hills, California. Every Wednesday at noon, I jump onto Facebook Live to answer your parenting questions. Let's jump into today's. You gotta help me, Kent. I'm really stuck with my son. He's 14 and he's really hard to motivate. I can't get him to do anything around the house. I feel he's at the age now where he can start doing stuff like folding his laundry, helping with the dishes, washing the car, that kind of stuff. But it's really hard to get him on board. My approach has been to ask him nicely or explain to him that it's important and fair for me to ask him for help. I've lectured him a little bit about learning to do these things, kinds of things of work and work ethic, etc. I don't really want to punish him, but I don't want to be passive. How do I get results? Thank you for your question. I think it's a very poignant question for a lot of parents of teenagers. There's a couple things that motivate people in general. One is connection and trust. The other is incentives. So let's talk about connections and trust first. Generally, when you have connections and trust with people, they're more cooperative, more collaborative with you. But also, I want to acknowledge that 14-year-olds are naturally pushing away from parents and they're pushing away from some of that connection. So I understand that that can be not as close as when he was 8 years old. I'd also say that getting him to start doing stuff around the house probably starts earlier than 14. It should start, 6, 7, 8 years old, small little things. But we are where we are. He's 14 years old. You're trying to get him to do stuff around the house. He won't do it. If the connection, the trust thing is not enough, you may need to start using some incentives. Now, some of you may be saying, wait a minute. I'm not going to incentivize my kid to do something they're supposed to do already. That's great. And if that works, wonderful. But if it's not working, you need to find alternatives. And so I want to introduce you to the concept of allowance. Again, it's like, wait a minute, I'm going to pay my son to do chores? Perhaps, because it's better than punishing. Having incentive-based, something that's more positive, reduces some of the arguing. I have a link down below in the comments of an article series I wrote about allowance, just about this. It goes into more detail than we're going to talk about here, but I want to kind of give you an overview. So, first of all, incentives. 2 incentives for teenagers most of the time: money or screen time. Pick one. Doesn't matter which one it is. I think all teenagers should be on some kind of allowance. They should have some financial responsibility. I think it's important to learn financial responsibility while you still have a roof over your head, food in the fridge, all that stuff taken care of, so they can make mistakes with money. I think it's really important to make mistakes with money when you're 14, 16, and not at 26, or just make less mistakes when you're 26. I think that's important. So here's a basic idea of what you want to do. So you want to have financial responsibility. So you have to figure out, what is your kid responsible for that you're no longer going to pay for, whether it's buying video games, was it clothes, is it going out with friends, whatever that budget is. You got to figure out, what is he responsible for, and kind of work backwards. Let's say, for the ease of math, it's $20 a week. Now, your house may vary. This is not what I'm recommending. I'm just doing a very simple math exercise here. So $20 a week, and let's say it's a 5-day work week. Again, simple math. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So let's say there's 4 things a day that you don't want to argue about him. You don't want to nag him. You just want him to do it. Let's say it's emptying the recycling, clearing the dishes and helping with the dishes after dinner, making his bed, and brushing his teeth. All right, so $4 a day, each thing is worth $1. Simple math. And everything is time sensitive. So the recycling has to be done by 6 p.m. If it's 6:01, he hasn't done it, all right, he doesn't get that $1. No worries. Now you're thinking, $1? He's not going to do it just for $1. But wait, there's more. There's a bonus. If everything is time sensitive, he's done everything on time that day, and again, you can't remind him. He has to do this on his own. He's done it on his own. He's done everything on time. He gets a $1 bonus. You're thinking, $1 bonus? What's the big deal with that? Well, $1 bonus every day is $5. So now, not only could he earn $20, he can earn $25. And maybe that's a little extra incentive. Don't worry, he's rarely going to earn $25. In fact, in the beginning, he's going to do horribly. For the first 3 to 6 weeks, he's going to tank. Instead of $25, he's going to earn $3 or $4 or $0. And on payday, whatever day that is, when you give him the cash or you transfer that money to his checking account, whatever that is, and that should be time sensitive too. If you say 12 o'clock on Sundays, you've got to be on the spot 12 o'clock on Sundays. So let's say he's earned $5 instead of 25. You hand the 25 and you bite your tongue, you lower your raised eyebrow, and you don't mention it, you don't judge it. You say, here's your $5. All right, let's go have lunch. And you don't mention it, you don't judge him, because if you do, you're getting in the way of the lesson. You want him walking away, looking at that $5 bill going, I wanted $25. I needed $25. It's the same reason why he has to need money, right? If he's got $5,000 in his checking account that he can access anytime he wants from his bar mitzvah, it's not going to work, right? He has to need money. Just like for all of us, if any of us had $100 million in the bank and you showed up late for work and your boss got mad, you wouldn't be that worried, because you know what? Okay, I'll just go do something else. I'll fly to Paris for lunch. It's not a big deal if I've got $100 million in the bank, because I'm never going to run out of that money. $5,000 in the bank for a 14-year-old is $100 million. He will never run out of that money in his mind, right? So he needs to need the money. And you also want to budget out where he has enough money to make some choices. He just can't do everything, right? He has to make some, it's like the rest of us. We have to make some smart choices with our money. And after about 6 weeks, if you've picked the right incentive, you'll see it kicking in gear. And if he's getting 70% of his stuff done, you're doing great. Now, some of you may say, I don't want to introduce money in this, so do screen time. Now, I'm going to do a simple math problem. Again, this is not how much screen time your kid should have. It's just simple math. Let's say you say 2 hours a day of screen time. And there's 4 things. Each thing is worth a half hour. If he does all 4, he gets a half-hour bonus. If he misses 1, he misses out on the bonus, right? And then each day is its own day, right? You don't tally up for the whole week, because then it'll just be nuts. Just do day by day by day by day by day with the screens. But again, as a big topic, you got to figure out how does that work in his schedule, bedtime, this and that. There's a lot of negotiating and solving of problems with this. So don't jump into this lightly. Make sure you guys are having a conversation. Make sure your son is involved in the conversation and the planning, because if he is, he's more likely to be on board. Again, there's an article down below that goes into much more detail about this. I'm just kind of skimming the surface on this. It's a great question. A lot of parents go through this. You're not alone. Trust me. When your kids will really get responsible with their own chores is when they're in their own apartment. That's when they will see that the trash needs to be taken out. If you're waiting for them to just notice the trash needs to be taken out, they never will, because an extra wrapper can always go on top. Anyways, that's our question for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, my name is Kent Toussaint. If you like your question answered here on Tips on Teens, email us at tipsonteens@teentherapycenter.com, or you can direct message us right here on Facebook. We love your questions. Thanks again. I will see you guys next week, Wednesday at 12 on Facebook Live. See you later. Bye-bye.